Alright, let's do the unit circle. So first thing we're going to do is degrees, because that is the easiest. So, ooh, I don't want that. We're going to say this is 0 degrees. And we're going to go and let's do these lines first. Nope, I changed my mind. Let's do these lines, because those are our 45-degree lines. So every one of these sections is a 45-degree line. And if you look at it, I don't know why I just wrote 45 again. 45 plus 45 is 90. All we have to do is keep adding 45. So 90 plus 45 is 135. Plus 45 is 180. And what you should notice is that this makes up 1 pi. And it makes 4 sections. We have 1, then we have 2, then we have 3, and then we have 4. So what that really means is that 45 degrees is a quarter of pi. So pi over 4. This section right here is 2 quarters of pi. So 2 quarters of pi, which is the same as pi over 2. 135 is 3 quarters of pi, and 180 is 4 quarters of pi, which is pi. So that's kind of where we get that fraction from. So we can continue on with all of our 45s. So this, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try to figure out what the remaining angles are going to be. So 180, what's my next one going to be? So my next degree of pi should be 180 plus 45 degrees, and I would get 225. Plus another 45 degrees, and I would get 270. Oh, I want that in red. What am I doing? Plus another 45, and I would get 315. And we're going to count our quarters of pi, so we know that this is 4 quarters. So then this would make it 5 quarters of pi. This one would be 6 quarters of pi. And I can simplify that to be 3 pi over 2. This next one is 7 quarters of pi. And then our final one, which is 360 degrees, would be 8 quarters of pi, so 2 pi. This is 0 pi. So we just counted by our 45 lines and actually our 90s. 90s you can also count by a halves. So this is 1 half. Then it would be 2 halves. Then it would be 3 halves. Then it would be 4 halves. Alright, next thing we're going to do, let's count by our 30-degree lines. So 30 degrees are so easy to count by because it's the same as counting by 30s. So 30, 60, it will hit 90. So that is a common line for both 45s and 60s. So 30, 60, 90, 120 for 12, 150 for 15, oops, and 180. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to write the remaining numbers in. You should have got 210, 240, 270, 300, and 330. Okay, let's look at our fractions here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. So that means that for 30 degrees it splits pi into 6 sections. So it's worth pi out of 6. So 30 degrees is 1 pi out of 6. 60 degrees is worth 2 pi out of 6, which is the same as pi over 3. 90 degrees is worth 3 pi over 6, which is pi over 2, and we already have that, it's simplified. 120 is going to be 4 pi out of 6, which is the same as 2 pi out of 3. Then we have 5 pi out of 6. And then 6 pi out of 6. So what you should notice is that your 60-degree lines, they're always going to end up being simplified. This is supposed to say 2 pi out of 3. And this should be blue. All right. So that's because 60 degrees can also be broken into thirds. So we have 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So if you want to count your 60s in the form of thirds, you can do that. So it would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. This one would be 4/3. This one would be 5/3. And the last one would be 6/3, which is 2 pi. If you want to count it based on your 30s, we can go back to that. That'll count us our 30s. Oops. So we have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. This one will be 7/3. This one will be 8/3, simplifies to 4/3. This one will be 9/3, simplifies to 3/2. This one will be 10/3, or 10/6. Sorry, I keep saying sixths. Thirds, it should be sixths. 10/6, which is 5/3. This one will be 11/6. And then we would have 12/6. So that's how you count with your fractions for your radians. Sorry, I forgot the word that I was trying to say. Okay, the next thing that we're going to put on our unit circle is we're going to put cos theta, sine theta, which is the point that it would make on that unit circle. So this point would be right there. So to find that, we're going to use the 45-45 degree triangle, and then we're going to use the 30-60-90 triangle. And I recognize that they look exactly the same how I just drew them. So let's do our 45s first, because 45 is the easiest. So our opposite, or let's do cos first. So our cos would be 1/√2. And our sine would be opposite, so 1/√2. And that's kind of all we need that triangle for, because now everything that has a reference angle of 45 is going to be the same in the other quadrants. We just have to remember that in quadrant 1, they are both positive. In quadrant 2, our x is negative. In quadrant 3, they are both negative. And in quadrant 4, our y is negative. So for my 135, I'm going to write negative 1/√2 and positive 1/√2. In quadrant 3, I'm going to write negative 1/√2 and negative 1/√2. And in quadrant 4, I'm going to write positive 1/√2 and negative 1/√2. We can also do our distances. So this one has a distance of 1. That would be our cos, because it's our x value. Our y value would be our rise, which is there's no rise, so it doesn't rise at all. So this point would be 1 and 0. 90 degrees is the opposite. It's 0 and 1. 180 degrees is similar, but we have a negative, so negative 1 and 0. This one is 0 and negative 1. And then we are back to where we started at 1 and 0. Now let's do our 30 degrees. So for 30 degrees, our adjacent side is √3, and our hypotenuse is 2. So it's √3/2. Our opposite side is 1. So it's 1 over 2. So that is my cosine and my sine for a 30-degree angle. A 60-degree angle is going to be the opposite of that. So 1 over 2 and root 3 over 2. And now we can fill in the rest of those points, again utilizing the fact that we know some of them will be negative. So 120 degrees is going to be negative 1/2 and root 3 over 2. And 150 degrees will be negative root 3 over 2 and positive 1/2. I want you to pause the video and I want you to try to fill in the remaining points for 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So what you should have gotten is, for the next one, we would have negative root 3 over 2 and negative 1/2. Then we would have negative 1/2 and negative root 3 over 2. Then we would have positive 1/2 and negative root 3 over 2 and positive root 3 over 2 and negative 1/2. So that is your completed unit circle. I'm going to give you a good copy of it here if you need to copy it down and that's too messy, but you should be able to complete these on your own. If you're taking this class face-to-face, on your quiz I will be giving you a blank unit circle for you to fill in. It should be easy marks because it's not that hard to fill out. So here is a good copy of the unit circle. Alright, so excited to share this with you. There's nothing I love more than a good unit circle, other than a good asymptote. Alright, until we meet again.